In the 2024 NFL Draft, the quarterback class had tons of hype. There were 6 quarterbacks selected within the first 12 picks of the draft. Quarterbacks were taken half of the time through the first 12 picks. That's nuts. 3 of the quarterbacks, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Bo Nix, were all week 1 starters as rookies. Drake May set to make his first career start heading into week 6, and Michael Penix Jr. is in a similar situation to Jordan Love, where he'll be sitting and learning for a while. And unfortunately, JJ McCarthy tore his meniscus before the season. But the 3 quarterbacks that were day 1 starters have showed out as of late. There's always going to be rocky moments with rookies, let alone quarterbacks, but over the last few weeks, Jaden, Caleb, and Bo have shown consistent improvement and the ability to win. We'll start by talking about undoubtedly the best of the bunch thus far, Jaden Daniels, who actually leads the league in completion percentage and in EPA. If you don't know, EPA measures the performance compared to the expectations and stands for expected points added. Jaden Daniels' EPA per game is plus 11.5, while guys like Josh Allen and Joe Burrow are around the plus 7 area. All this is according to Next Gen Stats, and as a rookie, we're talking about Jaden Daniels as an MVP candidate and one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Those are all the numbers, but what does the tape tell us? First thing that stands out on Daniels' tape is the comfort. With rookies and young players in general, there could be hesitation or confusion at times, but Daniels has command and understanding over that offense. Jaden Daniels also has something up his sleeve, and this might sound crazy, but Daniels possesses the mobility ability. Jaden Daniels can use his legs at any time, any situation. You might think you have him, but until he's on the ground, you do not have him. And it's not just Daniels using his mobility in this offense, it's everyone. Brian Robinson, Austin Eckler, and even Jeremy McNichols have all had a great year on the ground overall as a team. When there's actually a valid rushing attack in any offense, it helps in many ways. I like the way a good ground game helps younger quarterbacks with dictating the outcomes. Without a run game, a quarterback has to compensate and feel as if the offense relies 100% on the quarterback play. Running the ball well can also alter defensive play calls and the way players on the defense are playing. Running the ball can slow down the pass rush and could bring box defenders towards the line of scrimmage, which could open up the middle of the field a bit more. I'm going to do something that plenty of other people are doing and praise Cliff Kingsbury. Just look at what he's done with this offense and the way he's scheming guys open. According to Next Gen Stats, the average target separation for Jaden Daniels is the 3rd highest in the league. So obviously someone's doing something right, but I'm also going to give credit to Jaden Daniels. When the timing's flawed or he needs to make a play individually, he showed that he can. When Daniels was coming out, he wasn't someone always making plays out of structure. It always seemed to be the throw from the pocket or take off and run, nothing really in between. Another thing that's being talked about a lot is the accuracy and placement that Daniels brings to the table as a passer. I'm not going to disagree, but he had his moments in this game, especially towards the start, when maybe you can attribute some of the inconsistencies to his footwork, but it seemed to me as if he had just missed a few times. But as the game went on, I saw exactly what people were talking about. I know people are going to disagree with me, but I think his arm's good, not amazing, and maybe a little overrated at the moment, but with his repeatability as a thrower, it doesn't really matter. I like the way he can deliver the ball to anywhere on the field with touch and accuracy. Now we'll switch gears and talk about the second of 3 rookie quarterbacks, Bo Nix. Nix was the last one taken out of the 6, and he's done well up to this point. It is starting to annoy me not hearing any positivity on Nix, and especially when everyone's saying he's just a check down Charlie. Bo Nix's average depth of target is 7.3 yards. That's tied with Geno Smith and just a spot below CJ Stroud. Bo's also tallied the 9th most attempts through the intermediate part of the field, which is 10 to 19 air yards down the field. And that's tied with Lamar Jackson. Out of every quarterback in the NFL that has started every game, Bo Nix has been sacked the 4th fewest times out of 24 qualifying candidates. His offensive line has led up the 8th most pressures, and yet he's only been sacked 7 times. That's just not normal for a rookie. And as a cherry on top, Bo Nix has the 7th highest tight window throw percentage according to Next Gen Stats. Off the top of my head, when I think about Bo and his season to this point, there's just been consistent progression. Just from looking at the numbers and excusing the Jets game when it was dumping rain, Bo just seemed to be more and more prepared and ready for each game. Even with his experience, his ability to continue to get better instead of staying on a flat line, and he seemed to learn from his mistakes. Something Bo does extremely well is getting the ball out of his hands. That can mean a lot of different things in football context, but I'll focus on his throwing motion and release. The Broncos have done an alright job using it in my opinion, but Bo has the pure talent and precision when throwing on a rope. Some of his velocity throws when he's just chucking the ball into a receiver's hands or into a window, it's an attribute that needs to be catered to more in this offense. I don't think people were talking about or even expecting Bo Nix to be the athlete he's shown to be. Bo's surprisingly quick in and out of the pocket, and he even hit 20 miles an hour according to Next Gen Stats. Bo's a tough sack, as Sean Payton would say, and he's got a legitimate feel in the pocket, almost like a veteran. And so you'll see Bo escape sacks and remain a thrower, but he can also tuck it and run. His athleticism was overlooked in the draft process, and quite honestly, people weren't thinking of his mobility as something that adds a whole nother dimension to his game. But here in the NFL, you're seeing him run more than his last year in Oregon. Something I just want more from is the play calling, and I'll relate this to Jordan Love even last year. Once Love was given the opportunity to open the entire offense, he excelled, he was more comfortable, and it translated throughout the offense as an entire unit. A lot is being schemed up in the short game for Bo, putting training wheels, if you will, on the offense, and it's dampering down Bo's ability to open up the playbook, be more dynamic, and it seems he's locked in the confines of a constricted or limited opportunity back there. Now we move to Caleb Williams and his segment of the video. Some numbers to paint the picture of Caleb's best game of the young season. In week 5, Caleb Williams' EPA per dropback was second in the NFL, only behind Joe Burrow. Caleb and the Bears had the run game working, the blocking was better in pass protection and in the run game. Through the season, Williams is tied with Jacoby Brissett in sacks taken with 17. That's the third most in the NFL. What's crazy though, Caleb Williams has also avoided 18 sacks. That ties Baker Mayfield for the most avoided sacks through the first 5 weeks of the season. Moving away from the numbers and looking at the tape, the first thing I observed was the frickin' arm talent. Williams might have a tier 1 arm. I know that sounds kind of nuts, but that's a trait that helped him get to that number 1 overall selection. When watching him throw distance is when I notice it most. This guy can throw anything. Caleb can launch it into a window 20 yards downfield. He could be falling off his base but still throw crossbody with pure torque from his arm. But when I watch that touchdown throw to DJ Moore, it looks like he's aiming to throw 10 yards, but the ball just takes off and sails right into DJ Moore's hands in the back of the end zone. Something I saw from Caleb in week 5 when he looked near unguardable was when he was in rhythm. When everything was working, when he looked poised and comfortable, there was very little that he could improve on. There was a series of like 3 or 4 plays to start a drive when he was slicing and dicing, and I mean that in every sense of the phrase. It looked like a flow state moment, and it was a small sample size of that sort of comfortability within the offense, but imagine if or when he gets to that point where everything's familiar, he knows exactly where to look and throw. In my eyes, that's one of my biggest takeaways from this entire game. There were a few times watching the tape when Caleb's eyes are everywhere. When he's forced to progress across field or he has to drop his eyes for the rush, then pick him back up, it all just looks very chaotic. But it was a small sample size of him doing so. I'm not worried about it long term, but if it continues and it's not really fixed, I wouldn't be surprised if it costs him at some point. My draft rankings look abysmal right now, and I will list them. It was Caleb Williams at 1, just like everyone else. Bo Nix at 2. Call me a fanboy, I don't care. Jaden Daniels at 3. Drake May at 4. JJ McCarthy at 5. And finally, Michael Penix Jr. at 6. I think it's clear right now that Jaden Daniels is playing the best, and he's clearly translated well. But I don't think I'd change anything through the quarterbacks that haven't played yet. And what we're seeing right now is just crazy. This quarterback class could end up being legendary. It's loaded with talent, good tells early from everyone. Even looking at the preseason, the other guys were playing really well. Just bizarre stuff. Anyways, that'll be it for me. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys enjoyed, go ahead and like, go down, subscribe, watch the past content on the channel. It means a lot. And I'll see you guys next time. Deuces.